Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly 30-minute webinar. My name is John Deline, a systems engineer here at Variphy, and I'll be your host for today's session. Joining me today on an adventure in call scenarios is Dre Devots, one of my favorite features in Variphy. Dre, how about you?
Definitely. Thanks for having me, John.
You bet. Please note that these webinars are always recorded and posted within 24 hours, so you can review them at any time. Check out the webinars page at variphy.com for all our past and upcoming sessions. You can also find these videos on our YouTube channel if that's easier for you. First, we'll start off with a quick overview of what Variphy can do for you. Then we'll jump into a live demo where Dre will walk you through the call scenario type filters and how to leverage them to improve your reporting statistics. We'll pause for Q&A during the demo. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the chat. After Q&A, we'll award one lucky attendee with a $50 Amazon gift card. So hang around to see if you've won. Variphy is the preferred analytics and management solution tool for Cisco Call Manager, Contact Center Express, Cube iOS, WebEx calling, Zoom Phone, and MS Teams collaboration. Deployable either on-prem or as a hosted cloud solution, we provide industry-leading call reporting and analytics, as well as customizable dashboards and widgets. CUCM management modules like remote phone control, change management, and dial plan management are also available. If you have any questions on any of our features, please contact us at support@variphy.com or reach out to your account manager. Also, before handing things over to Dre, for an additional fee, Variphy offers an enhanced consulting service to our customers. Variphy's SE team engages with you on a one-on-one basis to remotely provide additional consulting, report building, dashboard configuration, and system monitoring assistance. This is a service that provides you with a dedicated Variphy SE to do the heavy lifting, giving you a stress-free, hands-off experience. For more information, please contact us or your account manager, and we'd be glad to speak more in depth about pricing and terms of service for our Enhanced Consulting Services, or ECS. One last item before we get started. Actually, I think I don't need to talk about this. So it's time to go into the wild. I'm going to hand things over to Dre now. Please submit your questions into the chat, and we'll address them at the end of his presentation.
All right. Thank you, John. Let me grab the screen from you. Oh, let's see if this picks the right one. Hopefully you should be seeing Variphy UI there.
I am.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining. Today, we're going to talk about some of these call scenarios and how we can use them in your environment to make things a little easier on some reporting. What is a call scenario? We'll go through this real quick. Call scenario is a Variphy rule that we created, which is multiple scenarios that can determine a type of call that is taking place in your environment. Here is a quick little picture here of some of these call scenarios and how they relate to total calls, connected calls, non-connected calls, and things. We do have a knowledge base article that has this also on there. John might be able to even share that handout in our demo here. So you guys could definitely take a look at that and just kind of get a little deeper dive. I don't want to go too much into this because we do have some webinars that kind of break this down a little further. I'm just here to show you some kind of easy ways of using the call scenarios. A better way of using them than kind of the old-fashioned way of getting some items and some records that you guys might be looking for. So here we are back at our Variphy home screen here, our call history page. So let's say you just wanted to see all the calls in your environment. The old school way would just be like ends with capital X, and we're gonna pull all those calls. But now with call scenarios, we can kind of do this a little easier. You can actually search for this search in the search criteria for call scenario types. Let's go ahead and remove this guy. All right, so we got our call scenario types, and here are all our types here. Got a couple different ones that we can look at, but in this case, we're like, hey, let's see all the calls. So we can actually just go to total calls. This is going to pull all the calls that happened within a certain time frame that you searched for. So we're going to do let's do previous day, because I know I've got some information in there. We're going to go ahead and hit view results here. Boom. Easy way getting all the calls from that time period that you selected. Now, another way of kind of looking at these calls that we just got are adding the call scenario types actually in the data here. So there's a show hide columns on the right here, and we've already have it in here, but if I remove it, type in scenario, boom, add that back in. Now you can see if I'm looking through a set of calls, you can see that each call has a scenario type associated to it. It can have multiples. So like this call here, we've got abandoned, not secured, and a not connected call, all sorts of call scenario types. So you can actually look and see what kind of scenario those calls are going through. So nice, easy way to determine that. So let's take a look at, well, I mean, you could do this also quickly. If you're just looking for a quick look at some of these types of calls, you can actually hit abandoned calls. If you want to view these, we're looking at previous day here. We're going to pull up all those abandoned calls that happened. We had 62 abandoned calls yesterday. So nice, easy way of filtering out to a specific call scenario that you might be looking for, and abandoned can be definitely an important one. But let's show this inside a report. Let's say we wanted to look at a hunt group, right? So I have a hunt group here, 77280. What I'm going to do here is separate these to show kind of the true calls that are coming into this hunt group. So where did my mouse look? There it is. All right. So we created some search sets similar to what we just did in the ad hoc search. But what I did was also added our hunt group number here. So 77280 is our original called party number. And then for this search set, I added an abandoned call type. So we're going to have one search set that's going to show you those abandoned calls. If you scroll down here, I created another search set with kind of the same thing, but we changed the scenario type to answered calls so we can see those answered calls. Then I have a total calls one, just to this one, just to show you how many total calls are coming in. And then I have another one that I made that is just voicemail calls. So you can actually see all the voicemail calls that are hitting after we get to that hunt group. And I already have this one kind of built out so we can view pretty quickly. As you can see, we can see our total calls. I should have put them in a little better order here, but it's kind of how they came out. I forgot to change that around. But you can see is our total calls to the hunt group, and then each one of those criteria is separated into a search set. So how many abandoned calls and answered calls and voicemails. Nice, easy way of filtering down calls going in. You can do this by department. Doesn't have to be by name or by number. You can definitely do it by department. There's all sorts of ways you can get it, but these call scenarios just really help us filter out the calls you want to see going into a hunt group or a department or whatever scenario that might be or what you might be looking for. So nice, easy way of kind of just taking a look at those calls. I also did another report to kind of break it down a little further when it comes to time period, right? So I did another report, pretty much just copied it and added some search set statistics onto this one. So our search sets are the same, but what I did was turn on some stat tables here and added our selected summary types here, but I did it by hour of the day for each one. So I should have this one open too. So here you can see same information we had from earlier. Date and time range should be the same. Everything up at the top of the search criteria summary is really pretty much the same here. But what we did down here is we added these volume tables to show by hour. And you could do this by day, you could do this by date, you could do this by week, things like that. So just depending on how you would like to see a report set up. I have this running from 8 to 5, so you can see that our total call count at 8 a.m. was 53, 40, answer count, no abandons, and 3 voicemail. Now, these don't add up because I do not have that not connected call scenario table added to this. it's important problem maybe to you, but this kind of shows our true call count coming in and either being answered, not answered, it was hung up before the call ended, or went to voicemail. These are kind of the true calls that are coming in. And then if you scroll down a little further, we actually got some graphs. Some people do like the graphs, and you can see how many calls are coming in. It looks like we stopped. Really didn't get too many calls after 2 o'clock there. So just an easy way. And this is why we created that, because if I'm going to show you this picture too, to get some of this information back in the day, if we wanted to see a non-connected call, we would have had to use an originating calls code, not normal or normal call clearing, and call split, and things like that, just to get this information. But Variphy thought that this would be easier to make this these call scenarios so we can really filter down into our calls a little easier for you guys. So nice, easy way of creating these reports with those filters. Is there any other? I don't think I did a report for this one. It's kind of this easy way of showing you those calls. But like I said here, we've got a lot in here that those scenario types. So each call that comes in are going to have some sort or multiple scenario types associated to them, like these two-way video calls and things like that. If you're looking for those, you can look at all voicemail calls if you'd want a good amount of value types here. So not only can we do this with the ad hoc search and actual reports, we can actually make some widgets out of these as well. I did create a really large dashboard here that can show you how we kind of turn those reports into a graphical look, and you can kind of look at these all day long. You can set these up for different time periods and things like that. So this first kind of section, we're looking at just these hunt group calls. So if we look at this one right here, the all calls, the 77280. If I take a look on how this one is set up, this one is just set up. I'm looking at calls that are coming into 77280. This is just like a total calls configuration here. And then what I also set up was day, week, and then I looked at previous week time range. Then I also added, if I go back to the correct screen here, the statistics summary bar, so our total count will show up there as well. So cancel all this. You'll see that we have a graph now, and you can actually hover over these and take a look at how many calls each day happen to this hunt group. So that doesn't include our call scenarios, but this was more showing you all the calls going in. Now, how we use our call scenarios to kind of create these widgets are very similar to how we did it on the ad hoc search, or if we created a report. So we're looking at this now, an answered count to 77280 for the same time period. So these are all, you see at the bottom here, these are previous week that I'm looking at. There's some previous days, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. So you can see that the answered call count now shows up here. So you can see your same as the report, but just a little easier way of viewing it in our dashboards. Same, the answer call count going is 77280. And how we did that was similar to how we set up those search sets in the reports. So all I did was, I had our original call party number is 77280. All I did was add that answered call scenario type. So now we have a widget dedicated just to those answered calls. Time period was the same, previous week. And all I did instead is showing this summary bar as an answered call count. We could actually, if you wanted to, in one widget, you could add all those scenario types in here. So you could do a connect account, non-connect account, and then get those numbers for each one into one widget. But I kind of like to separate them out just to give you a view of how those are set up. Similar to the answer count, we got this abandoned one as well. You can see that we had 4 abandoned counts last Wednesday. And the way we set that one up is, again, super simple. Just adding that abandoned call type in the search set. Configuration is the same, just add that there. So we were looking at these, like I said, a previous week, depending on how you want to see them, we can change that up. Sometimes people would like to see current day or previous day instead of a full week. So now we can look at these kind of four, this one on the right here and these bottom three. I set these up for per hour for the time period you have. So if we look at our all calls, we know that doesn't have any call scenarios in them. It's just looking at that 77280. But if you look at the answered per hour, what we changed here was, well, the search set's going to be the same, looking at your answered calls with 77280. But what I did was change our time period type. So I went for hour of the day, and then our time period I did previous day. Then added that answered count summary bar just to give us a number at the top of that widget. Because if I turn that off, it won't show you a number, just show you a graph and you can hover over it. But this kind of gives us a full statistic of those answered counts. And then as you can see here, we have those per day or per hour. So you can see that 8 a.m. here had 10 calls. 9 a.m. You can hover over these and check these out. Didn't have any abandoned calls prior, which actually should match up here, but that's his previous week. So I thought that was this week, but that's okay. No abandoned calls yesterday, and our voicemails per hour yesterday. Now, scenarios work really well when you're looking at trying to break down calls coming into a hunt group or into a department or things of that nature. What we can also set up are some system-wide calls. Sometimes you want to see all those calls. So we set up a couple of widgets here. They're going to show you our total call counts, and then I made another one, just top 10 abandoned call count. Which number is getting our calls not finishing? They're people are leaving these calls before the call is finished there, and we can see that this number is here. So this is going to be a grouping widget, and we could take a look at this. And now this is a system-wide widget. So I don't have a specific number we're looking at like we did at the 77280 hunt group. So all we did here was just added a call scenario type of abandoned calls. So that's going to say, give me all those abandoned calls for this certain time period, which is previous week. The type of widget is a grouping statistic widget. So when you create one, you'll have these options to create different styles of widgets. Grouping statistics will be the one you want to pick here. We're going to group on that final called party number, and you can actually increase this. I think it's minimum. I think it starts at 5, but let's say I can actually even increase this to like 15 here. So, and then we're going to group that by highest to lowest. So it's going to group by highest to lowest in an abandoned count in a form. And we're looking at that call history data and then abandoned call count. So we can save this, and you'll see that this widget should increase in size because we increased the sorting from 10 to 15 here. So I'll let this load. As you see, I'll extend this out a little bit. There you go. Now you can see here that we've got our top, well, I forgot to change the name, top 15, but this is our top 15 abandoned call count. Same with the top 10 calls here for total calls into the system. All I did was a total call count scenario. Grouped it by highest, lowest, primary grouping type, final called party number. We have a top 10, total call count. And there we go. So they didn't make any changes. So should all be the same. But as you see, our 8,000 is getting the majority of the calls here. And you could do this for voicemails. You could do this with all other sorts of scenario types. But just a couple ways of being able to use these scenario types to help filter out your reports, get that kind of number that you're looking for within your report. A little bit of a quick one today. Apologize for that. Scenarios are kind of easy to work with, so it was harder for me to give you guys some good examples of how to use these. But we do have, if you want to dive really deep into the call scenario stuff, we do have some, I guess, introductory webinars we did on scenarios. But this was more or less how to use them to kind of filter out some information in your data that you would need. John, we got any questions out there?
I have not seen a question come in, but if anybody has one, please send it to us. I do want everyone to note that these scenarios are available across most of our platforms, so you can find them. Whether you're have a Teams tenant or WebEx calling, Zoom, or even the Cube iOS. There's these call scenarios are available there to make things easier for you. And just like Dre was able to get from start to finish pretty quick here, that's what they're there for, to help you get there quick. So great
Thank you.
job today. Thanks everyone, and have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, everyone.